Hey, welcome back. And if you are thinking about buying a home in Flower Mound, Texas, or anywhere in Texas for that matter, you probably heard about the option period, but what does it mean to you? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what it means, how it works, and you can use it to your advantage. So number one, what is the option period? So the option period is a set number of days at the beginning of the contract, and it is a negotiated item that gives the buyer the unrestricted right to terminate the contract for any reason at all. This is unique to Texas, and I'll kind of go over some of the other states briefly, but Texas, this is a huge buyer protection tool, and it's used very frequently. So what would you have to do to get this option period? Because I'll give you an example. Back in the time when we were going through COVID, people were just moving to Texas like crazy and buying houses without this option period. Now, there is a clause in the contract that says you can do inspections at any time. But in order for you to get out of the contract, it's much, much more difficult. So the option period, what is the option period? You're basically paying a fee to the seller. It can be anywhere from $250 to $500 or even more. It's a negotiated figure. And what you're doing is you're the buyer and you're coming to me, I'm the seller, and say, okay, I'm going to buy your house for X amount of dollars, but I want 7 days to be able to do my inspections. And you will have, the clock starts ticking. So the first day of the contract would be day 0. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. At 5 o'clock on that 7th day, you either need to make a decision that you're going to move forward with the contract or say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to walk away. That option fee, the seller keeps. So to back up just a little bit, there's two items that you're going to put down when you are going under contract. And this money goes to the title company. The title company handles that, and we'll do that in another video. But let's say your home is $500,000. You're going to put down, say, $250 for an option fee. The seller's agreed that 7 days, okay, I'll let you take it. I'll let you do your inspections. But you also put down earnest money, which is kind of like a deposit, but it's not really, of 1%, sometimes more, but that's generally accepted as the rule. So there's $5,000. So you have $5,000 over here, $250 over here. During this option period, you'll be able to do all of your inspections. If for some reason something happens where you need additional time to do more inspections, or something major has come up, you can always renegotiate and extend that option period out. But again, that's a negotiated item between you and the seller. So this is not a refundable fee. However, if you do continue on with the contract, then that amount gets credited back to you at closing. So that's the fee. How long is the option period? Okay. Depending on what it is that you're trying to do. If you're buying a condo or a townhome, you're probably going to need less time. If you're buying a home that's $2 million, $3 million, you probably need at least 7 to 10 days, because you may want to try to get a foundation engineer out there. You may want to get a roofer plus a general inspector. You may even want to get a plumber out there to scope the sewers and all that. So that all takes time. It takes time to get scheduled. That's another item for another video, but typically 5 to 10 days is a good zone, and it depends on the price point, depends on the condition of the property, and that's something you need to get together with your realtor and kind of figure out what is the best option for that. It also kind of depends on market conditions. If the market is moving very hard, very quickly, then your option period needs to be shorter, because that when you go into an option contract, you're essentially taking it off the market, but you're not. The seller still has a right to be able to show the property and take backup offers. Typically, though, agents will just not show it at all. And a lot of times sellers don't want to show it at all. If I'm working with a buyer and it's something that the buyer really wants, I'll go to the agent and say, hey, how is this looking? Do you think it's possible that we can get in there and take a look at it just in case your contract falls out? You know, if the listing agent feels like this is a very strong deal and that that the buyer's going to go through with it, you probably won't get an opportunity to go in there and see it. But it doesn't mean that the seller can't show it. In fact, the seller can show the house all the way till closing day. Again, another video for another time. So what happens during the option period? So as soon as you're getting to the contract, you need to have an inspector in place, because inspectors are busy. Doesn't matter how busy or slow the market is right now. Inspectors are still busy. You may not be able to get an inspector out there for 4 or 5 days. Sometimes you can get one out there quicker than that. Same goes for a roofer. Roofers in Texas are not regulated. You can get a roofing company out there pretty quickly. The general inspection will cover that, but it's not bad. It doesn't cost you anything to have a roofer come out there and take a look at it. They don't charge for that. And then you've got you have a professional roofer, and then you have the general inspector who will inspect the roof. HVAC, heating and air conditioning, which is super important in Texas. You may want to spend the money to get somebody out there to do extra due diligence. That will cost you money. Everybody's different. We just have to work through that when the time comes, when you want to figure out whether you want to do that or not. And plumbing, that's a possibility too. When you have the general inspection happening, your inspector will likely say, listen, I think you need to call out a roofer or HVAC person, because they're just a general inspector. But they can come up and they can find issues that potentially could cost you money. So you want to have a professional that is specifically dealing in that situation. You'll have time during this period. Most agents will post the seller's disclosure on the MLS, but if they don't, they have 5 days. Once you get the seller's disclosure in Texas, you still have 5 days to review it, which can artificially extend the option period, but most agents do have a seller's disclosure posted. There's certain rare cases where they don't have to do it. We won't go over that now, but there are certain rare cases where there is no seller's disclosure. HOA docs, if they have them ready, that's something that you can review during this period. However, if HOA docs have not been ordered by Texas law, you have 14 days to be able to, business days, to receive those, which that would be a way for you to get out of a contract if you didn't care for what's going on with the HOA. And during this period, you want to get insurance quotes. You'll probably do that with your mortgage person right away. So during this whole option period, you're going to basically decide whether you want to move forward, negotiate, or walk away. I will tell you that the option period is not a situation where you should be thinking that I'm going to give these people full price for their home, and then I'm going to go through the option period, I'm going to do my inspections, and then I'm going to renegotiate the price based on what's going on. That's not a real good way to start a contract and to try to finish through with the contract. If there's something seriously wrong that the seller does not know about, then that's another situation. But hopefully, as a buyer, you're negotiating in good faith, and so is the seller. Not always the case, but hopefully that happens. So what happened? So I hate this house. I don't want anything to do with it. The inspection is terrible, and I want to get out. Okay. So all that is the buyer's right to terminate, which you can do within the option period. Now, you will lose the option money. So in this scenario, $250. And you've paid for inspections, and this compensates the seller for the time lost basically on the market. Now, during this option period, your earnest money will be refunded as long as you cancel before 5 o'clock of the day of the option period. Now, some title companies are requiring that the seller and the buyer both sign a form to release the earnest money because things have gotten touchy the last couple of years. Not all title companies require that. I've run into a few that have, but the seller has to sign off on it, and the earnest money does need to come back to you because that is part of the contract. And really and truly, at the end of the day, you don't need to explain to the seller or to the seller's agent why you did not want to move forward with the contract. It's really none of their business. You've just decided whether you've gotten cold feet, whether you found a better house, whether you've decided, I hate this neighborhood. It doesn't matter. That's what the option period is for, and that's why it's so unique in Texas. When you're looking to buy a home, that's why it's so important that you are working with somebody that you kind of know what you're getting into. When you're in a relocation mode, you don't always have the time to do it. But when you're working with somebody that's experienced and knows the area, then it's much easier to wait before you go under contract. And this is September 2025, and the market's moving a little bit slower. If a home is a good deal, it's still a good deal. Is it still getting multiple offers? In some areas, not in a ton. Why do sellers agree to this? Well, number one, it's standard practice in Texas. It's just what it is. And it also builds trust with the buyers that they can do their due diligence. I mean, you wouldn't buy a car without kicking the tires, right? Same sort of deal. Or taking the car for a test drive, maybe. Maybe you will. I don't know. But a shorter option period, when you're negotiating a contract, if you can give the seller a shorter option period, and the way to do that is to have your inspectors and inspections lined up. A higher option fee can also make your offer a little bit more competitive as well. Don't come in and offer them $10 option fee or $100 because they're not going to take it. I wouldn't recommend it, and it does not do anything to start the contract off in a right way to do anything. Some of the other things that then when I've dealt with relocation people and I'm trying to explain this deal, like for example, if you're from California, they already have a default inspection period, and I think it's like 17 days. It's not an option period, but it's similar to that. If you're like from Illinois, they do an attorney review and inspection period. If you're from Arizona, they have a 10-day inspection period. It's kind of the default. It's kind of the same thing, but this is very unique. And then if you're from New York, I think even from New Jersey, attorney approval, and they work through the whole contract portion for you on that deal as well. But in Texas, this option period, and I need to emphasize this to you, is your unrestricted, no restrictions, your unrestricted right to terminate the contract. And that's what's unique, and that's what's important, and it's something that you can take advantage of and you can work with. But keep this in mind, before you even go under contract, make sure that this is a house that you want, because an inspector is going to cost you anywhere from $500 to over $1,000, depending. It's based on square footage. Before you go through the time and the effort and the agony, think about what you're doing, get with your realtor, and figure out if this is going to be the best move for you. I mean, this is your safety net. It gives you time, it gives you peace of mind, and it gives you some flexibility before you make probably one of the biggest purchases in your life. So if you're thinking about moving to Flower Mound, let's talk. I'll walk you through every step of the way. I hope this has been helpful to you. Please subscribe. Send me a comment if you have more questions about it. I'm Chris Hooper. We'll see you next time.